to say diversity is pretty important for you then, and for your
Yeah,
business. Yeah.
absolutely. I would say so. I would say that it's a survival tool, diversity.
Yeah, yeah, and to remain competitive too, essentially. I mean, there are just if maybe you could put blinders on, but the reality of it is that there are thousands of other people logged in at the same time as you,
That's
and
true.
you do have to make yourself stand out apart from everyone. So
That's
it's
really true. Even if
yeah.
it's just simple things like recording yourself while you're streaming. I've done this before, and looking back on how I look on camera when I'm not paying any attention to myself. And then
Uh-huh.
you think about, what does that look like to people that are viewing you? Like, you want to make sure that you're projecting this image at all times, which you got to learn and train yourself to be able to be willing to project that the entire time that you're in front of the camera, because it is a part of remaining competitive. Not
Uh-huh.
letting your guard up, not slipping, and maintaining your composure and your persona at all times. It's very important, just like anybody else who gets into character
So you
for
feel
a
like
living.
you kind of turn on whenever you go live? Do you feel
Yes, actually, even before then, it's really interesting. I've created a playlist of songs, and I've thanked a couple of the artists that I use as inspiration, just because these songs create an atmosphere that makes it really easy for me to slip into this, I guess, this kind of outfit that I wear as a persona on my skin. It makes it really
uh-huh.
easy to adopt the mentality, because you got to keep your home persona and your work persona separate. Obviously, they bleed into each other, they have similar interests, or else neither one of them would be able to survive.
Right.
But it's really important to be different when you're I couldn't like be slouched back like I would be at home on this futon, or on the camera or I mean on the couch in the living room, just like minding my own business staring off into the distance. I have
Uh-huh.
to be Ariadna on cam,
Oh
which
yeah.
is completely different.
Where did the name come from? That's such an interesting name. Where
Well,
did
I wanted to pick something that spoke to my fascination with mythology and my Greek heritage. As a half Greek person, very, very proud of being half Greek, and I wanted that to be very obvious to people from the very moment that they met me. And one of my favorite gods, Dionysus, has a lesser known consort known as Ariadne,
uh-huh.
who is the goddess of labyrinth, mazes, I guess, femininity and fertility, and um, agriculture as well, and a couple of other things like wine and ecstasy.
That's
And
fascinating.
as I have become more involved with fetish play and sensual domination, I
Uh-huh.
wanted to take on something that fit more into a goddess archetype that spoke to that a little bit more. And so that's
Oh.
kind of where it evolved from. It's a bunch of all of those things combined into one, I think.
Do you have any projects that you're currently working on? You mentioned website. So
Yes.
you do have a website now?
I'm making the move from the old domain to the new one, and it's currently under construction. So
Okay.
yes, I am working on the HTML. I'm very excited about getting that started, and I
Cool.
have been deciding to take my clip making a little bit more seriously as well, and plan on hyping that up to members a lot more, because it's not really something that I've done in the past. But I've just had an abundance of really great ideas since I really feel like I've gotten more comfortable with myself, especially over the past couple of months, and I'm looking forward to executing some of the really phenomenal ideas that I have for videos coming up as I've gotten more comfortable with my style.
Have people given you inspiration as far as what they're looking for? Whenever you are doing live shows for your actual clip content, you've been able to kind of figure out like what's more sticky or what's more appealing based off of that.
I found some really interesting things just paying extra close attention to some of the things that members have told me, especially people that have been around for a really long time. I've gotten introduced to some interesting sex toy companies. I've heard some really interesting anecdotes about how they've inspired other performers in the past, even porn performers sometimes. And
Yeah.
I've also specifically asked for feedback if I happen to do a gold show or a show with multiple people in private. I love for people to give me feedback and to tell me what it is that they specifically would enjoy seeing me doing, because
Okay.
if I get that feedback from them, I know they're going to want the video. I would hate to make it and then not have anybody show interest in it, but that would only be my mistake because I never conferred. I never was like, hey guys, what do you want?
Yeah.
So yeah, that feedback, invaluable, the most important from pretty any and every customer, I would say.
Yeah. Because it's a two-way thing, right? Your business,
Oh,
essentially,
yeah.
in order to make it successful, you have
Yeah.
to listen to what they have to say and kind of give them what they want at the same time while still making sure it's in alignment with what you want and your goals are.
Right, exactly. And the best way to do that, I think, is by being as real as possible from the very beginning, which is something we've gone over. And then people will be like, oh, well, this person's into this. Well, then I think they would be comfortable with these things as well.
Mhm.
So that way you're still in touch with your own beliefs and in touch with your own reality, while at the same time they embrace what it is that you do subjectively without straying too far away.
Mhm.
But there are definitely some things that people have suggested to me where I'm like, that's a good idea, but that would kind of contaminate my brand a little bit, or that doesn't necessarily mesh well with what it is that I do. But I think that's a really good idea nonetheless, and maybe, suggest it to someone else whose style that meshes better with.
Uh-huh.
And I also do think that you can still take requests from people without it necessarily meshing well with your style or your performance style, but just make it something that's just for them. You don't necessarily need to make it like a public thing for everybody. It can be like, oh, hey, this is for you kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just kind of depends on what it is and what you're comfortable with.
Quite possibly even building that relationship just by being able to be open to things outside of your typical realm, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's really important to do that anyways, not even just in this regard, but in every regard, because it keeps you healthily open-minded and receptive.
Tell us about your personal life then. So you mentioned that you used to live with your mom. And are you in a space right now where you can actually go full on cam and not have to worry too much about others around
No noise level worrying or having to worry about keeping the door open or closed in this household, which is amazing and definitely gave me the freedom to take this as seriously as I wanted to.
Yeah.
I can't really be I'm not really open about what it is that I do with my family, but I have found myself being very open about it with friends and just people that I've met, which has made things very interesting. It's like I'm definitely out as a cam model. Like if you were to come into my house, it would probably be very obvious, which is really nice. I don't really feel compelled to hide it. It's just been very, very interesting. Quite a few of my friends actually, though, were not too terribly surprised. I am very, very, very friendly with a lot of people in the LGBT community in the city that I live in, and they themselves have history as sex workers and are very receptive and open to cam modeling as a result.
You feel like you have that support from people in your life.
I do. I really do. I think that's incredibly important to have, because there are going to be days where you don't necessarily believe in yourself and believe in what it is that you're trying to do, and they're going to be the people that lift you up. But it's so hard to get that kind of support when you don't have the ability to be open with anybody about what it is that you do.
Yeah.
And so you're just relying on yourself, which is what I did do in the beginning, and it was really hard. It's easier when you have at least one other person where you can be like, I just want to talk to you about these stressful things that happened to me at work today, and then, I'll be all good, and you'll give me a pep talk, and I'll be on for tomorrow. It's really important to have that.
I cannot imagine not having, I think maybe that's why there are so many people on forums, because maybe, they don't have that support. So really turning to other people in our industry, even through a forum, is the only way to really be able to connect or vent or get what you need, right? And still feel that support.
I think that that's very true. I've seen it a lot, and I think that it will continue to be that way until we as a society change into a more sex positive kind of mindset.
Yeah.
You can kind of see that slowly happening. It's evolving. There are people where, like, it's really weird that there are sometimes random strangers where I'll tell them that I'm a cam model and they'll be like, oh wow, whatever. But there are definitely still some people who are like, well, I don't trust you anymore
Uh-huh.
for some
Uh-huh.
reason.
I know. I was talking with some close friends a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about Seattle has a very big burlesque
Oh,
community
yeah.
here, and there is a little bit from what I've picked up on as far as like a what they call horarchy, as far as different types of sex work, adult work, you know. So where do you think what do you feel, especially as a cam girl? Where do you fall in all of this? Because it's like not exactly porn star and like, you know, it's not like glamorized like that, but it's kind of like somewhere in between, right? You're not like on the
Yeah.
street. Where do you feel and how does it make you feel as a cam model? Just being kind of grouped into this wide spectrum.
I think that being grouped in under the umbrella makes me, I guess, feel like even more inclined to say that there really isn't anything that's different about any of us in our different respective groups,
Yeah.
regardless of whether or not you're a professional dom or a sugar baby, porn actress, cam model, etc. All the different categories, even a phone sex operator
Uh-huh.
who doesn't even show themselves on video at all, because we're still doing some form of body work. I don't
Uh-huh.
really think there's a difference or a level, or that there are like this there's like elite people and then there are like people on the bottom that nobody should pay attention to. I think that it's really important for us all to kind of see a little bit of ourselves within each other and lift each other up. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
personally feel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I would really honestly, I would do away with the comparisons, and I've seen them before where people are like, well, hey, at least I'm not a sugar baby. And I'm like, well, what's wrong with that? I mean, what's wrong with it, really? Or at least I'm not an escort. Well, no, what is wrong with that? What is
Mm-hmm.
wrong with that in comparison to what it is that we do? I mean, it's not too far away from what it is that we do. So I don't think that we should be judging people that work in a similar field, if that makes any sense.
I don't know. I've always had the feeling just from the undertones of conversation that, yeah, there is like a little bit of judgment towards like strippers or towards people
Oh,
that
there
are actually in
is.
front of you and, you know, taking off their clothes all of the way and possibly doing more. So, no, I thank you for sharing your perspective on that though, because
No,
I
of
feel like
course, it's
that's
my pleasure.
like
I
that's
really am glad you asked because I think that it is really important. And I have noticed exactly what it is that you're talking about as well, especially recently. It's just something that I've just seen a lot more. And I think that it's really healthy to have this kind of conversation and also relieving to know that there are people who understand, where it is that I'm coming from in that regard and are having, a similar position as well when it comes to that sort of thing. It is
yeah.
really relieving to know that because I don't think that we're just such a marginalized group of people. Sex workers are. We've got to stick together because there aren't a whole lot of people looking out for us. Not even quote unquote. There are some people who would call themselves, feminists or people that look out for a marginalized group of people that don't really pay attention to sex workers or don't think that they are doing a good thing. That think that we are doing a bad thing. So we gotta stick together. It's so important. We can't be like, oh, well,
Yeah.
that person over there, I don't like what they're doing. Like, oh, don't do that. Please
The
don't do that.
cattiness too. I can't even with all of that.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Let's stop tearing each other apart, you know? Like
Yes.
I mean,
Please,
I
God.
I don't even know if that's just limited to sex workers though. It's just
No, you're right.
females
It's
in
probably
general.
not. Any highly competitive business is definitely, like, people are going to be cutthroat as hell sometimes.
Right.
That's definitely true. I think that it only is unique when it comes to sex work because we are already in such a weird position
Yeah.
that it's just like, do we really want to push ourselves down that road even further? We've already got people like pitted against us on a daily basis with all of their assumptions and all of their beliefs that are inaccurate and untrue.
Right.
We've got to stick together.
That's what I was saying. Like we definitely need like more of the
Mm.
positivity and
Mhm.
uplifting each other really and not finding ways to tear each other down, I
I
think.
mean, at the same time, like, yeah, you definitely see people nitpicking, but there's so much love too. And I gotta say, like, there's got to be a point in time where that starts to get just as much attention, or people will be like, maybe you want to see more of this. I would
Yes.
love for that to happen, because when it does happen, it is just so remarkable and so beautiful. I don't even care if it's just something that I see on Twitter. I'm like, that makes my day.
We're just about 13 minutes. So
Okay.
tell us now. Sorry. No, I love this though, because honestly, it's kind of it's kind of nerve wracking to take it in that direction, because that's not something that I can just talk about with anybody, and
No,
or
no,
people
you
be like,
gotta
"What's she trying to get at?"
Yeah.
So no, thank you
Uh,
for sharing that. What's coming up for you?
I think that something that I'm really looking forward to is my year anniversary mark coming up in November, and then the confidence that'll come with that, because I'm looking forward to marketing myself just a little bit more once I get to that point, get a little bit more experience under my belt, and start attending conventions, start meeting up with other people in person. That's what I'm looking forward to, taking
Okay.
things to the next level. But in the meantime, like, I'm just slowly leveling up to that.
Okay.
And I guess what that means for me is, in the meantime, making sure that I get as many tools and as much equipment as I possibly need. I've been looking at green screens, looking into special effects, basically looking into anything that I can to enhance the visual aspect of my room, which is something that I think is very important. And also, I think that it'll give me a lot of room to play with in terms of how I can make things fun. Games that can be played. I've got some really good ideas for what I'd like to do with LEDs. I just really want to take things into like a weird visual direction. Looking at
Okay.
video synthesizers.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really interesting. And a lot of this just comes as a result of being around people who are musicians and finding out that there's this whole visual component to what they do, and then seeing it being executed live and kind of being like, I wonder what that would look like behind me. I don't know. Let's see if I can make that happen.
Wow.
That's basically what
That's
I'm working on
amazing.
now. There is definitely some technology. It's getting a little bit more popular. I'm looking at a couple of video synths right now that are made by one company in particular, and actually it enables you to design your own kind of video projections using Python for coding. And I'm like, this seems somewhat accessible to me, maybe just a little bit of a learning curve, but it'll be definitely worth it in the end. I'm just looking to basically be as unique and futuristic as possible. Like, what does the future of camming look like? Well, maybe it looks like a bunch of lights and crazy animations in a room during a weird dancing sequence. These are just a few of the ideas that I've had. As I come out of my shell a little bit more and become more confident, I think that you'll be seeing a lot more of that.
Yeah, and there definitely seems to be passion and fun behind all of your ideas too. So this is not just, oh, what's next for technology? Here, let me go over here. Like,
Oh
you're
no!
definitely being playful about it and innovative
Yeah,
with your ideas. So
you want to
that's,
have fun, and you don't want
yeah.
to take yourself too seriously ever. No,
Of
never do
course,
that.
no. I mean, let's keep that in mind too. It should be a little bit of fun and playfulness.
Oh yeah,
Right?
oh yeah. I
Yeah.
completely agree.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today, and also for allowing us to get to know you a little bit better. Maybe we'll have a check-in here in a few months, and then definitely right around the time of your camiversary and see how that's going.
That would
And
be amazing.
yeah,
I really enjoyed my time with you, Vanessa. You are such a lovely person to speak to. Very amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Would you mind giving us a little plug as far as where everybody can find you?
Yes. Give me just a moment.
You're like, let me check.
Let me not screw this up. Find me on Twitter at twitter.com/holy, that's HOLY _Ariadne. And you can also find me at my website, which will be published soon, but there's still a landing page. It's cultofariadne.com.
Have you thought about going through, I don't know if you went that route, but through Model Centro? Because
I was looking at Model Centro a while ago, but I completely and totally forgot about it. It is something that I will definitely take another look at it. I just wanted to snatch up the domain anyways, just in case anyone felt like buying it before me. And then I started playing around on it, and I was like, oh, I see what I can do here. But yeah, I'll definitely look into
That's
Model
smart.
Central.
Oh yeah, the only reason why I pitched that is because we do have a partnership with them. So anyone who has a website created through them can actually link their StreamMate profile. It could go both ways. So you will be
Oh,
technically able to promote your Model Central profile on your StreamMate profile and vice versa.
that's really
Totally.
helpful. Thank you. That's super helpful. I really
Oh
appreciate
yeah.
that.
I think you can go to streamatehelp.com, and I'm not sure 100%, but I believe we have some info under partner site. That's what you should look up, is
Okay.
partner site. Thank you so much, though. I really enjoyed talking with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you have in store next. Please be
Thank
sure to
you.
keep up with me, though, and also
I
if you need
will.
anything,
I
let me
will. It will be a pleasure too. You are wonderful. It will not be hard to do that at all.
know.
You
You
too.
too.
Thank you so much. I think that it's a great website to work for. I think that everybody that I've come into contact with has really been exceptionally considerate and amazing to me, and I appreciate that. I probably will stay here for years if that continues. That's what I would like to do.
Wow, that's awesome. Well,
Seriously, it's a great platform.
thank you. I know, and I mean, I agree. I might be a little biased, but it really the thing that I have learned is, like over the years, it really it just depends on the person. Like one site is not always going to work for everybody. Everyone's going to have their own flow and their own preferences and
So
goals, and
true.
yeah. So whenever I very first started working with models, I would say, "Oh yeah, StreamMate is like, we're better than all of these." Not that I don't still believe that, but at the same
Right.
time, some people had to like wake me up, like, "Well, I just prefer this over this style," and so, anyways,
Right.
it was a learning
Right.
experience
So
for me as
true.
well.
Yeah, no, I would say that I have adopted a similar approach to yours. Like, I can understand why people like the token-based sites, but I
Yeah,
still think that StreamMate is a better platform than any other token-based or private, regardless.
I agree. She was not paid for this statement. I promise. Just kidding. I'll put like a little sponsored by StreamMate
Right.
tag on your profile now or something. Just kidding.
Oh, finally. That's what I wanted.